The Washington Post has 17 bureaus around the world and 24 foreign correspondents. This year, they traveled far and wide covering subjects as diverse as the refugee crises in Syria and Bangladesh and voting in Nepal. Here are their most powerful stories from 2017. I hope this helps the outside world to see North Koreans as human beings. Anna Fifield, Tokyo Bureau Chief. In this year of alarming progress in North Korea's nuclear weapons program and alarming talk about military options for dealing with it, I wanted to shine a spotlight on the people who know Kim Jong-un's threats the best, the North Koreans living under his brutal reign every day. There are 25 million people who have to find ways to survive in Kim's North Korea, however they can, and who are at constant risk of being sent to labor camps if they so much as question the leader. We talked to 24 people who had lived in North Korea after Kim assumed power and had escaped, and then we let them recount their stories in their own words. I hope this helps the outside world to see North Koreans as human beings with feelings and dreams like the rest of us, and not as the brainwashed robots they are often portrayed to be. Kim Jong-un's North Korea, life inside the totalitarian state. I had struggled to believe that the stories were real. Louisa Lovelock, Middle East correspondent. Our investigation into the torture of prisoners inside Syria's military hospitals was the most haunting experience of my reporting career. I'd heard rumors of terrible goings-on inside the facilities for years, including one particularly shocking account of a sick prisoner being executed in his hospital bed. It was the stuff of nightmares. So terrible that until I began to meet survivors, I had struggled to believe the stories were true. In interviews across Lebanon, Turkey, and Europe, more than a dozen survivors and army defectors described horrors in Syrian military hospitals for which war crimes lawyers say they have struggled to find a modern parallel. Bit by bit, the jigsaw came together, ultimately revealing how ailing prisoners were tortured as they lay shackled to beds packed with dying men, how corpses were piled in bathrooms, outhouses, and anywhere else they could fit. It took months to track down survivors, and many of them remain too traumatized to tell their stories. I will forever be grateful to those who did. The response to the piece was overwhelming. More survivors emailed to tell their own stories. The father of a young man last seen going to Hospital 601 described the pain of reading the article and wondering whether his son had suffered similar abuse. Tens of thousands of Syrians remain in government jails, their fates unknown. We will probably never know how many have been killed. The hospitals were slaughterhouses, a journey into Syria's secret torture wards. It was heartening to see people in this middle-of-nowhere village taking their responsibility to vote so seriously. Vidhi Doshi, New Delhi correspondent. About 3/4 of the way up a 7-hour hike in the Nepalese Himalayas, a part of me started questioning why I had volunteered to do this story on election day in the mountains. I was trying to reach a remote Sherpa village called Tempathang, which is inaccessible by road.